I'm suddenly nervous.
No, don't be nervous. This is just for fun. Even if no one listens to it, it'll be fun for us.
Hello and welcome to Negative Space, a podcast about art. Actually, it's not. It's about us being really stupid. But, hi.
I want this to be as unpolished as possible.
Oh, thanks. You just cut right into my intro there.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sam.
Hi, I'm Simone. You wanted me to talk.
Oh, good.
How could you do this?
And we are really professional people.
We are. I have no idea what I'm doing, honestly.
Obviously, as you can tell. Okay, we are just two art students who are interested in art, and we're going to talk a little bit about our lives. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I slept from 4 to 8, so I'd say I've been having a pretty good day so far.
Is that 4 a.m. to 8 p.m.?
It's 4 p.m. to 8 p.m.
That's,
I feel like most of my day's gone.
Well, most of your day is gone.
Yeah.
Correct.
I know how to manage time well.
Do you want to talk a little bit about yourself? Just in general?
Sure. So, if we're going to talk about ourselves and how we got started in art, I started drawing since before I can remember, right? Like, I've been drawing since I was, at the latest 4 years old, and I don't think I've ever really stopped. It's just kept going. I don't know how to put the pencil down. So that's how I got started. I didn't really think about doing it like professionally or like very seriously though until maybe the middle of middle school, where I realized that people do have jobs in art and it's not just a hobby for everyone. Yeah, and I just kind of kept on doing art through high school. I met Sam. I got into college, and now I'm studying art.
Yeah. I started drawing, like most people, when I was really, really young. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of people who, like, are professional artists, they're like, oh yeah, I knew I wanted to be an artist since I was, like, a kid. But, I don't know. I just drew for fun. It was, like, not a big deal. And I never even considered that I would pursue art professionally or like seriously when, like, especially when I was a kid, because I thought I was really bad. I mean, I was really bad. But you know, it was like, I don't know, I don't think I'm really interested. I just wasn't that interested. I had things I was more interested in, like marine biology. I wanted to be a marine biologist.
That was mine.
Like 6. Hey, come on, man. Why does everybody want to be a marine biologist? Like, I've asked like 6 people about this, and they all said like marine biology.
I don't know, it's so cool, you know?
You know, I bet it has to do with Animal Planet.
I don't think so, because I never watched Animal Planet as a kid. All I watched as a kid was Pokemon.
Oh, man, I was banned from watching cartoons. I was only allowed to watch Animal Planet.
That's so sad.
And Discovery Channel.
So sad.
So anyway, how long have we known each other? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years?
I've known you since the latest
grade.
part of the last year of middle school.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5-ish years. Because this year's almost over.
Yeah, I think we're coming up on 6.
Yeah, we are coming up on 6. Did you know that you are the person that I have known for the longest stretch of time that I'm still in contact with?
Really?
Who, like, aren't my family? Yeah.
That is bizarre to me.
Really?
I mean, I think it's because I have this perception of you where you've lived in California all your life, so I'd assume that you'd have all the same friends, right? Because and especially, like, talking to, like, our other friends that have been friends with each other since, like, kindergarten, it's so odd, because I'm used to moving around, so I'm used to being around people that are already friends with each other, right? So, I don't know, it's just, I thought you would have known someone else. This is a very pleasant surprise.
Yeah, because I transferred out of private school in 7th grade, and then I just didn't know anybody from obviously not from private school. And then most of the people that I was friends with in 7th grade and 8th grade, I just don't really talk to them anymore. That's what happens. Well, so yeah, we've known each other for
quite a while.
Time.
Yeah.
Enough time. And so we know each other's art pretty well.
Me too.
But so do you want to kind of talk about your art? What kind of art do you like to do? What are you interested in?
Oh God. I'm very interested in illustration. Like, I'm really into like cartoons and animated things and comics and all that good stuff. As for the stuff that I actually draw, most of it at this point is fan art, just because, you know, I still, even though I'm majoring in it and stuff, I still use it as a de-stressor, right? So I'll just do that for fun. And honestly, like, I do just as much personal or even more personal art than I do like art that I'm thinking of putting into my portfolio. So most of the art that I do at this point, if it's not for school and they specify otherwise, is digital. So I'll use like Photoshop and more Photoshop and more Photoshop because I can't use Sci anymore because I have a Mac.
Let's see. So I'm an illustration major. And it's really complicated. I am interested in illustration, kind of, like illustration for print. Like, that's kind of what got me into art school in the first place. But what I really am more interested in is, like, concept art and production design. So, but that's, like, not really even the kind of art that I'm doing right now, because it's, like, difficult to do production art when you're shitty. No. I'm just kidding.
Come on.
I mean like when you're a student, it's like there's not much point in like trying to do like professional stuff. It's kind of all about building your skill for the first couple years. And so until you have that skill, it's kind of really, it's useless to try and do a lot of things. So yeah, I do mostly schoolwork. I'm not even gonna lie. The last time I did something personal, that's not true. I just drew something last week, but honestly, I have so much schoolwork that it's impossible. But yeah, for school, a lot of stuff is traditional still, because foundation year stuff is all about hand skills, so
it is. It's all about technicality.
Yeah. I mean, it was worse last term. Like, last term was crazy. I had to lug around my drawing board and my newsprint pad and like all sorts of stuff for 2-3 classes, and then I also had perspective, which was like T-squares and rulers and a bunch of stuff. But now it's a lot better this term, but I still have to do a lot of drawing. So that's pretty much what I'm doing right now. I do digital work. Most of the personal stuff that I do is digital, but I also am taking a digital class, so yeah, that takes up some of my time.
You know, the thing that you said about, like, you know, learning all the technical stuff, I was talking to some guy in one of my classes who has just started being an art major and, like, only recently decided to study it seriously, right? And he was complaining about how, like, they were grading his art, like, in a class. They were grading his art on a technical scale, and it was so confusing to me, because, you understand that the whole point of taking those classes is not to express yourself as an actual artist, but just to build up, like, your motor skills and, like, you know.
This comes up all the time when I tell family members that I'm in art school. One of the it's really weird. The number one question I get is, do you work on the computer? Because I think digital art confuses a lot of people.
Yeah.
But the number two question I get is, how do they grade you? Because, like, yes, art is supposed to be subjective, and I think if you're thinking, like, oh, fine art or, like, stuff like that, it's really hard to, like, grade people, because then there's no objective scale. But when it comes to technical skill, and when it comes to, like, building, like, foundational level, just hand skills, drawing skills, it's actually really easy to grade, honestly. Because it's about following instructions, and it's gradable. It's not like, oh, well, this is an expression of my inner self, and you, like, drew a figure with legs that are too long. That's not, that's wrong.
It is anatomically wrong. Maybe not in an artistic sense it's wrong, but on a purely technical level, it is incorrect.
And that's the kind of thing they grade you on for the first couple years that you're in art school. It's a lot about foundation. So, because once you know the rules, once you're very good at following the rules, that's when you can break them. That's kind of the cliche in the art world.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't understand why he was so upset by this, because I was like, but the whole point of art school is not to make your brain more creative. It's to teach you how to, like, draw, accurately, or, like, draw technically well. It's about teaching
you how to take the creativity that you have and express
and
that
applying
in a way
it,
that other
right.
people can understand, right?
Uh-huh.
That's kind of what art is all about.
Yeah.
So, did you have any, art school before you started high school or before you went to college?
Oh God, I had not taken, other than the art classes that they make you to go to in elementary school and stuff, I did not take any formal art classes before high school. And I don't think high school even counts. I did not get any sort of formal training until my senior year of high school, where I had a tutor to help me make my portfolio. But even though I never had any official training, in elementary school and stuff, like when I would go to art classes, I would get praised by the teachers a lot, right? Because apparently I was really good with color when I was a baby. So this lady that was like one of the teachers, she would always say, "You're so good with color," to me, and she would tell my mom that I was good with color. It's weird. I had no idea what was going on. Saying this to a 5-year-old, it doesn't make sense. But yeah, that's all my previous experience before college with art schooling.
Yeah. I actually did go to a art school, sort of. I went to it's like an art school for kids, they're not like worried about like, oh, this is like prep art school for art college. No, it was like all about kids having fun and like expressing their creativity and stuff.
So cute.
Yeah. I went there for, let's see, I want to say 7 or 8 years. It was a long time, but it was just a lot of fun. And even though I went to that art school for a really long time, I never once considered while I was actually in that school, that I would ever do art professionally. Like, I stopped going there when I started high school because I thought I wouldn't have the time for it. And it was only in the sophomore, back end of sophomore year, beginning of junior year, that I actually realized that I wanted to go to art school and kind of do this more seriously.
Right.
But yeah, it was really nice. I don't know if it helped me, like, as an artist that much going to that art school.
Well, sure it did. I mean, when we first started, when we were in freshman year art class, because that's when we met each other, was freshman year art class for the, art credit that we needed to get. You were very good at technical stuff. Like, you were very good at doing still lifes and all that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, compared to me.
I don't remember this.
Okay, maybe if I go back and look, maybe not in general, but compared to me in freshman year, I had no idea what I was doing because I'd never taken an art class before. I just kind of, doodled on my own time and drew girls with flowers on their heads and weird shit like that.
Nice.
Oops. It's just, I think you were better at first, and maybe in the long run, it might have not made that much of a difference, but to see you in freshman year being really good at that, I was like, oh, Sam knows what she's doing.
That's so funny that you would say that because it was the exact opposite for me. It was like I met you and you were really good at art and you could you could draw people and you could okay, I hated drawing figures and faces. I was really, really, really bad at that. But I had a lot of, I guess you could call it technical training, but it's I kind of knew the art lingo. I knew value and the how to use a graphite pencil to shade and
what about negative space?
I knew the word about composition. Oh yeah, negative space. That's a good one. But yeah, I knew kind of those kinds of things. I knew the kind of more conceptual things about formal art training. I knew about them.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, but I guess we had different skill sets going in.
Yeah, we did. I mean, I'm not sure if mine was really... going back and looking, it's so cringy looking at how I drew when I was 13. I don't want to think about it much. I can't believe that you asked, like, Sam asked me to teach her how to draw, like, people well. But if you go back and look at how I drew people when I was 13, I don't think you would have wanted to get training from somebody that drew like that on how to draw that.
Oh,
just
please.
Saying.
See, I have to go... I every time this comes up, I, like, go back and look at that old sketchbook.
And then you remember how bad I was at it.
I brought a sketchbook specifically. I was like, okay, Simone, this is, like, my learning sketchbook. Like, Simone's gonna teach me how to draw people. And I, like, had you, like... I, like, made you use a red pen, and, like...
God, I was so unqualified for that. I am so sorry.
Oh, no, it was exactly what I needed at the time.
True.
And let's be honest, if it hadn't been there, and, like, I didn't sit next to you and, like, was like, oh, I want to, like, draw like Simone, I never, ever would have continued in art, and I never would have, like, ever gotten to this point now. So...
True.
Yeah.
And I always talk about how, like, you know, I was like, oh, it's no good, but I guess comparatively it was a big deal, right? Because you only see stuff like that comparatively. So if I look at somebody that draws like that now, I would be like, oh, I mean, like, you know, they're learning, they're not very good, I think I'm better than them. But like, to somebody who's worse, anything that's better than theirs, if they've tried, is amazing to them, right? So I guess that's the whole deal with
also
that.
The thing in, like, school is, like, there's always those art kids, you know? There's, like, maybe, like, 2 or 3 who, like, everyone knows that they're the artists and they're, like, good at art and they, like, draw in class all the time.
Right.
And they're, like, and you, like, look at their stuff. And, like, you were one of those kids.
And
I was not.
I had no idea I was that, though. Like, I was talking to Lindsay, and she was talking about how like, she knew about me because people talked about me as the art person, and I was just like, but how? Like, I'm not any, like, she was, and I think she was better than me at the time too, so it was just so bizarre to me because I drew all the time, but I didn't think I was that amazing. It's so weird how I always forget that not everybody in the world knows how to draw, and especially knows how to draw better than me, you know? Like, as an artist and, like, being around artists all the time, you kind of get this perception that everyone in the world knows how to draw and they're all better than you, but it's not true. And it's so weird.
Well, I mean, you hang around people who are really good at art.
Yeah.
Right? It's the thing, especially when you go to, like, a school or you go to, like, classes where that's just full of artists. You're like, oh, everyone is so good at art, and you, like, feel kind of bad about yourself sometimes. But sometimes you forget that the real world exists.
Honestly. Like, I guess I'm less exposed to that purely art world because I go to a, well, not a public school, but a school that's not a private art school. And there's people who have other majors and other professions here. So I, like, still get people coming up to me and saying, oh, you're an artist, you're really good, or you're super amazing. And I'll just, like, get kind of freaked out because I'm like, cool. Oh God, no, please.
Cool.
I'm holding up my hands and surrender.
Here. Oh man, yeah, that never happens here. Here it's like everyone is like, yeah, well, they're an artist, she's an artist, he's an artist, yeah, let's all move on with our lives.
Yeah. The only thing, the main negative thing about, like, being around people who don't draw is that they all are under the perception that it's something that is impossible for anybody that wasn't, like, blessed with it when they were born, which doesn't exist, by the way. Like, they're like, oh, you're so amazing, I can't even draw a line. And you're just like, oh. Well, neither can I, but this is just a collection of lines.
That's, like, a whole other discussion.
That
is. The discussion of, like, talent versus work versus, like, what's inborn versus what's learned. Those kinds of things. That's, like, a huge discussion.
It's a whole other can of worms.
When did you... So, where are you going to school right now?
Oh, God. I'm going to school in Cal State Fullerton.
When did you decide that you wanted to pursue art in college as a major? Like, seriously.
Oh, Jesus. This started probably in late middle school, right? Because, like, I always knew that I loved to draw, and that's all I wanted to do all day, but I never really considered it, like, as a potential profession. Like, I thought my parents would never let me, like, you know, I thought it might be unreliable because I was 12. It just, all this stuff. I had no idea until like middle school, and then I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, I mean, I like to watch cartoons, and who makes the cartoons? It has to be adults, right? So...
No, it's 12-year-olds. Come on, get with the program, Simone.
By the way that some people talk about it, it might as well be that's, like, the perception of what people have for artists. Like, artists that work on cartoons and stuff. Because there's, like, these people, and they're like, oh, that cartoons are just for kids, but who do you think makes those cartoons and puts all those...
Well, Simone,
all that
obviously... The people who make things have to be the audience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the same demographic. So babies make baby food.
Oh my God. I just imagine babies in a factory and it's awful.
It's against the law.
It is against the law in the Americas anyways.
Stay in school, kids.
Stay in school or else you will end up a baby in a baby food factory. Yeah.
So was it like freshman year when you decided that you wanted to go to school for art, like major in it?
I guess. I mean, I was seriously thinking about it, but I was terrified of bringing it up to my parents. So I don't think I actually mentioned it to my parents until maybe sophomore year of high school. And they were like, and their reaction was surprisingly positive. Like, I was so scared. I was like, oh my God, they're like gonna disown me, right? They'll never love me again, or they'll just make me do something else, which I could have probably been pretty okay with. I would have just been vaguely, like, less fulfilled in my life.
Disappointed.
But no, that's when I told my parents, and they were like, oh, okay, that's great, that's perfect, because that's all you care about anyways, so nothing else would work. So, yeah. That's when I first started getting serious, and then I started thinking about my portfolio, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't start early enough. I don't have the time to work on my portfolio. Freaking out about portfolio. And I don't think I really seriously realized that I was going into art as, like, a real thing until after, like, I started applying to colleges. Mm-hmm. Like, because I was making my portfolio and all that, but the whole time I was thinking, well, this might not actually happen. I might just go to some random college and just get a degree for something else, like English or whatever. I don't know. No, it was very strange because despite putting all this work into it and my parents, like, fully supporting me on it, I didn't really realize that it was happening until it started happening.
Yeah. I think, well, for you, it's kind of, like, fuzzy, right? It's like you kind of sort of knew in freshman year, sophomore year that's what you wanted to do, and then you kind of, like, telling your parents was a big thing, but, like, I actually had a really, really, like, definitive moment where I, like, light bulb, like, God comes down from heaven, taps me on the shoulder, that kind of thing.
Hey, Sam, guess
for
what?
That, yeah. But no, for me, that moment was, I've told this story, like, a billion times now, but, yeah, one of the alumni of our school, our high school, she's an artist named Catherine Roy. She came to give our class a presentation about the work she was doing. She graduated like 10 years earlier, but she was an author illustrator, and she had just gotten her first book deal.
Right.
She wrote a nonfiction children's book about sharks, and she just got a contract signed to have that published. And she had also, and what really, like, struck me was she had just illustrated it's not a children's book, it's like a middle grade
It was a chapter book with illustrations.
It was called The Expeditioners. It's like a young adult kind of book, but, like, for kids, but not really.
Young adult for
it's
kids.
It's not a children's book, but it's not a young adult book. It's not like a teen book.
Right.
So yeah, she brought that in, and I was sitting, I remember really clearly, I was sitting in the very front row, and she, like, passed the book around, and I was looking at it, and, like, I love reading. Like, anyone who knows me, like, will tell you this, and I was always Simone's sighs in the background. Yeah, and I was always super interested in, like, I loved Scott Westerfeld and Tony DiDolisi and all these people who did really awesome illustrations for books, and she was, like, one of those people, and that, like, blew my mind. I was totally blown away, and I realized, like, wow, I could do that. Like, that's something that I could do. Like, all I have to do is, like, make a decision about it. And I went up to her afterwards. I was like crying. It was really,
oh my god, really? I didn't hear this part.
I was actually, I thought you knew. No, I was like crying. There were like tears coming out of my eyes, and I was like, I apologized because I was crying. I was like, I'm sorry. I know it seems like I'm really weird, but like this was like a huge inspiration for me, and I was there were like tears, and I was like trying to like, my voice was cracking, and she was like, oh, and she like hugged me. She was so nice. She hugged me and she like gave me her card. That's cute. Yeah, I know. And then I emailed her afterwards. I was like, wow, you know, like this really changed the way that I think about how I might go forward with my future. And yeah, and so that was nice. We exchanged emails for a while, talking about art school and stuff. And that night, I remember very clearly because I wrote my college entrance essay about this.
Oh god.
That night my mom and I, we went to this like some sushi restaurant, and I like was sitting there in the sushi restaurant across from my mom, and I was like, Mom, I think I want to go to art school. And she was like, no.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yep. That was unfortunate. Anyway, that like started this whole really long...
It's a snowball effect.
Yeah, it was this huge argument. My mom and I got into fights for months and months where she... it wasn't that she, like, didn't want me to pursue art. It was that she didn't want me to go to art school, because she was really afraid that, A, like, I wasn't good enough as an artist, and that I, like, if I went to art school, I would just either drop out or, like, not... just like do really badly. And B, she was worried that like once I got in, I would like change my mind and then I'd be stuck at an art school and I couldn't do anything else and I'd just have to like start over from a different school. So she was really afraid of all those things. Actually, my dad was super chill about it.
Really?
I was super surprised. I know, right?
Knowing your dad, yeah.
Yeah, I always thought he'd be the one who was like, no, that's like a bad idea. No, don't do it. But he actually was like, well, you know, if that's what you want to do, then you better go into the best art school. And I was like, oh, thanks, Dad. Thanks.
Yay.
Yeah. So that was... But anyway, finally, I was arguing with my mom for months about it. And then, you know, I ended up applying to all the schools. And then after I got in, I think she kind of changed her mind about, like, being worried that I wasn't good enough. She was like, oh, well, I guess if they're letting you in. Yeah, that was a tough time. But I got a great college essay out of it, so that's...
I didn't read it, but I'm sure it was amazing, because you're a really good writer.
Yeah, I wanted to, that's what I wanted to do before I decided that I was going to go to art school.
Right.
I was going to be a lit major.
God.
Which, in hindsight, was a terrible idea.
Yeah. English majors... There's something weird about English majors. And I can totally relate to that thing that you're talking about at the beginning where, like, you don't really realize that there are actually people that are working and earning money to do all the art that's around you every day, right? Mm-hmm. Like, if you look at anything and there's, like, some sort of design on it, you're like, well, somebody had to design it. Wouldn't that person probably be an artist? Yeah, that person would be an artist. And you're like, oh,
hold on.
People have jobs.
Just a minute here.
Yeah. You know, and because I guess in high school especially it becomes a lot more apparent, but like when you're younger, like in elementary school, you just don't think about that stuff at all. Like shows on the TV are just magically there. You don't really think about people working behind it. It just exists in your world. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, now I am a second-term student at Art Center College of Design, which is not the Art Institute.
Oh God.
As that Art Center meme so helpfully pointed out.
We should put that on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should. I'll put a link to this beautiful Facebook page in the show notes, which is just Art Center memes. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just a comic. It's a meme comic. It's like a rage comic, but instead of like the rage face, it's
Art the dot Center. From the logo.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
Big red circle from the logo, but as a person. So
and like the last panel is always the Art Center.
It's always the Art Center person flying out the window.
Yeah. That's how everyone feels at this school all the time, 24/7.
God, I think my favorite part about that comic, about those series of comics rather, is the fact that like it's a comic made by art students for art students, but it's in a rage comic format, and every comic is exactly the same.
And they're like super ugly comics too. It's
I know,
not like
they look
well
terrible.
designed or anything, and it's just like, yes, this very prestigious art and design school, and like it's just amazing.
It's incredible.
Are you working on anything right now? Like art and you working on any art, Simone?
Never. Why would you even ask that, Sam?
All right, this podcast is over.
Well,
we're
goodbye.
Retiring.
See you later,
guys. A good run.
Like, are you talking about like drawing, like right this instant, or like?
Yeah. Any pieces that you're working on or projects?
When it comes to personal projects, I finish like a couple a day. Like
You're so fast.
I draw like 3 things a day, like 3 fully colored things a day, maybe. I don't post all of them. I post some of them.
That's nuts to me.
And then I also...
I couldn't... It would take me, like... Okay, sometimes I, like, do things in one day, but honestly, like, any piece usually will take me several days or more. I don't draw fast.
I draw very fast, contrarily, but my art is messy, so you gotta live with that. Like, I had to work on something that has to be transparent today, right? Because I'm doing a collaboration with some people, and they were like, oh, okay, so you just have to make this like fully colored thing, but there's one guideline, you have to make it transparent. And I was like, oh, yes, I can do that, certainly, And then I just went to open Photoshop, and I was like, oh god, I'm gonna be spending hours just cleaning up.
Just submit a blank PNG.
Oh,
Just send that to them.
No, that would work
transparent,
perfectly.
just like you wanted.
Yeah.
Completely transparent.
No. Yeah, I work on a couple things a day. I'm constantly drawing. Like, if I'm not doing anything right in that instant that requires my hands, like if I'm just listening to something or watching a movie, I will have my tablet out and Photoshop open and drawing, or opening my sketchbook and drawing. Because I have ADHD, so I just can't sit still at all. So drawing helps with that. It helps me kind of sit more still while I'm doing other things. It's almost like a coping mechanism at this point. Yeah. And as for art projects for school, I am not currently working on anything. It's been pretty quiet.
I am working on so many things. I have so much schoolwork. I've been complaining about this one thing all day.
You have been. I've been getting messages about it.
I have to do this flat space piece, which is basically, it has to look very large. That's kind of the idea behind flat space, is that you do something that's so zoomed out that you can see that it's like at like the scale of a mountain or something. But my piece looks really terrible right now, and I don't want to look at it. And then I'm working on 3 other final projects, because it's about a month until finals are due, and I have to start working on all those now. Otherwise, I will go completely crazy once the actual week of finals rolls around. So that's everything I'm working on. Nothing personal. Nothing that I have out. Just as like a final, like, about us, is there anything that you, or like any hobbies that you have that you want to talk about that aren't related to art?
I guess music counts as one of the arts, but I really am super into music, right? Like, listening to it, and I've been playing violin for like 10 years. So yeah, that can count as a hobby, I guess. Playing violin for 10 years is a hobby.
That's odd. I played past tense. I played piano, and I was in choir for a long time, and I sing a lot, but I don't ever list that as one of my hobbies, oddly enough. I just never think about it.
It counts.
Like that.
I mean, for me, it feels really official, because I've been in orchestras all my life. Like, ever since 4th grade, I've been in like, well, right now I'm not, because like the orchestras are just for music students here, and it's kind of sucks. I wish I could join an orchestra or quartet or something here.
You should start a club, dude.
I should start a club. It would just be 4 people.
Well, that's a quartet.
Honestly, no, it just feels like a really official hobby, because I've been in it all my life, and then I was in the highest chamber orchestra in high school for like 2 years. So yeah.
Yeah, I was just in choir for like 6 years, 8 years, something like that.
It's a long time.
But it is a long time. But I almost never listed it as a hobby.
It always feels more official if it's in high school. Just because you feel like you're more grown at that point.
Yeah,
like if
I quit before I started in high school, so.
Yeah. If I stopped before I went to high school and I didn't take any orchestra classes in high school despite being in them for like 5 years or whatever, before that, I probably wouldn't consider violin a hobby, but just because I like got so deep into the culture.
Anything else interests? Do you want to talk about video games?
I love video games so much you don't even know.
And Simone gives me shit about not liking video games all the time.
I don't give you shit for not liking video games. I give you shit for not liking a video game because it's a video game despite having concepts that I know you would fully enjoy in any other format. The same with animated TV shows.
It's true.
It's true. It frustrates me to no end. I love you, though.
I don't understand, Simone, why we're friends, because we have literally one thing about us that overlaps, and the one thing that overlaps, which is art, overlaps in like the least,
the shallowest way possible, like on the shallowest level. I don't
truly, we're just different in every single discernible way.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
I'm gonna get you to play some video games with me. I'm gonna make you like at least one. That's my goal in life, is to make you like one single video game.
I mean, I like it. I'm just not, like, I won't do it unless you're there.
Yeah. I have, I'm not going to talk about it on the podcast, but I have plans.
Like that stupid Star Wars game?
Wait, which stupid Star Wars game? Because,
the one,
yes!
The one with sexy Darth Vader?
Oh my god! No.
Which one is that?
It's, Force Unleashed. It's the really edgy one, where it's like...
It's the one where Darth Vader is, like, actually kind of attractive. Like, not attractive because you never... Not because you ever...
He has a sexy walk!
He's, like... Because he's, like, super graceful, elegant.
I know. Which totally
really
goes against
weird.
his established character in the movies, because he's supposed to be, like, this crotchety, old, crippled man, right?
But like, it makes sense in the game, because it's like, well, I guess this guy was powerful for a reason.
Yeah, I guess.
Was super cool.
But you have to think about Star Wars canon, Sam. Jeez.
Oh.
Star Wars canon.
Oh, speaking of Star Wars, I was telling you about this, but I just bought the Star Wars Storyboards book.
You did.
Only the prequels book has arrived so far. The original trilogy is still in the mail, but it's just this it's huge. It is bigger than I thought. I thought it was going to be like a really thin, like, kind of book, but it's actually super, super heavy. It's got all of the storyboards that they could find from the Lucasfilm the archives of, well, this one is just the prequels, but also the original trilogy. I'm so excited for the original trilogy one to come because I know my teacher is in it. Like,
really?
My comp and painting teacher right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Gary Meyer. He's 81 right now. He's still teaching. It's amazing. He's the sweetest person. He's just the best teacher. He's incredible. But I know
really cool.
he storyboarded. I might be wrong about this. I'm pretty sure he storyboarded the opening scene of episode 4, like the after the credits roll. After the title crawl, he storyboarded that scene.
No way.
Right after it.
You're lying. You don't know someone that cool. There's no way you know someone that cool.
I'm gonna, once the book comes out, I'm gonna take a picture and I'm gonna show you.
Oh my god.
Pretty awesome.
You know, I do not believe for 1 second that prequels book isn't just over-the-shoulder shots, the storyboards.
Oh, please. It's Ian McCaig. Ian McCaig is amazing.
I don't care what you say about Ian McCaig. Every, like, half the shots, especially in the second movie, half the shots are just over the shoulder, like, people talking to each other.
Well, the thing about storyboards is, I guess they don't ask for storyboards for things that don't need storyboards, like conversations. They're not gonna, like, make artists draw storyboards for that. It's, like, mostly, like, the action scenes and, like, the crazy,
You got a point there.
All the storyboards. They are just stunning drawings, honestly. The drawings are beautiful. Like,
it's
each
just
one of them, you could just frame them individually.
It's just most of the composition in the originals is terrible. And it's not, and it's mostly to the fault that they just, like, have these giant CG backgrounds with green screen, and it's just two people. You can tell that it's in an enclosed space, but they're projecting a giant image to make it feel big. But it doesn't feel big because it's not big, and they don't act, like, there's no interactivity with the actual world around them. So it just looks...
It's been a while since I watched episode 2 and 3. I recently rewatched episode 1.
God.
But I have to go back and watch episodes 2 and 3.
Yeah, we gotta watch those together. I rewatched 2 recently with my friend Alex, and we were just laughing the whole time about how terrible it is. He got really drunk, too.
Honestly, episode 1 was worse than I remembered. In my mind,
everything's better when you're a kid.
Good. Because, I quoted these movies a lot when I was a kid.
That's like, really... What? Spinning? That's a neat trick! I don't know. There's all that stuff. It's so bad.
I know.
It's so bad.
It was just, like, part of my childhood that was kind of in the background, and I just never realized that it was such
terrible,
an unbelievably long movie. Like, unbelievably...
Honestly.
Like, oddly paced.
I've rewatched...
That's crazy.
As a kid, I rewatched the prequels like 10 times, and rewatching the second movie again, I did not remember, like, a lot of stuff in it, just because it was so unmemorable. Like...
Some of it just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. And oh my god, there's this one amazing scene that I did not remember until I watched it again. Like, Obi-Wan gets caught snooping around somewhere, whatever, in the bug castle thing. I don't even know where he was. But,
is this the one with the lizard?
Yeah. Hold on. I can't remember. They all blend together. The prequels all blend together. I can never tell any scenes from them apart. But no, there's this scene where, like, Obi-Wan gets captured and he's, like, in captivity, right? And he's being interrogated. But they don't just put him on, like, you know how in, like, The Force Awakens, like, they put Poe and, like, Rey and
chair?
stuff on that chair thing?
Wait, is this the one where he's, like, floating in the air?
Rotating really slowly. Like, he's just slowly
totally
rotating in the air.
I totally remember this scene.
It's so funny. I'm not over. Every time I think about it, I laugh still.
Anyways, so my hobby is buying books that I don't need. I buy so many books. It's terrible. I am a compulsive book buyer. Dude, I bought another copy of Fahrenheit 451.
You already have one and you bought another one?
Yes.
What for, Sam?
Well, Simone, mother.
Yes?
I wanted another copy.
Just because? Is it the cover?
Yeah.
You want to show me a picture of it? I want to see it now.
I will. It's just the 60th anniversary version. I have the version that I have, the old version that I have, I got for school, and so it's super, super beat up, and it's the paperback version, and all the pages are kind of fuzzy and stuff. So I wanted, like, a clean, nice copy, just kind of as a collector thing. But yeah, I'll send you a picture afterwards.
That's cool, actually.
Let's see what's left on the show notes. Well, Simone, would you like to talk about your future?
Get super rich off of my art and then never worry
That's
about
good.
money ever again.
That is a great, great plan.
Mostly I want to become I kind of want to do concept art. I like doing concept art a lot, but I really want to do storyboarding too. Like that, every time I do storyboarding, it's just so much fun. Like, that's been my favorite art thing that I've done so far, is storyboarding.
That would have been a good segue if only we had brought up storyboarding and then you had said storyboarding, but that's a lost opportunity now.
What?
You know? That would have been a good segue from Star Wars storyboards into storyboarding.
I totally forgot we even had that conversation. Yeah. But yeah, I'm super not obsessed, but I seriously enjoy storyboarding. I just don't do it so much. I should practice it more, but like every time I do it, I love it so much. And the awesome thing is, for some reason, not so many people want to do storyboarding because they all want to be concept artists. So
yeah, it's true.
so that's pretty much an open market for me.
That is, and you know, people will always need storyboards. Like, even when ad agencies and movies and TV, film, all these things, they always need storyboards.
Yeah.
So that's not something that's likely to go out of fashion or anything like that.
I mean, neither will concept art, but it's just everyone wants to do that one, right?
I mean, not necessarily. Like, we could reach a point in, like, 3D modeling or, like, just
what, you just click the randomize button? Like on a sim?
I mean, like, concept art could reach a point where, like, it becomes cheaper to have a 3D modeler do it than to have an artist do it. You know what I mean? But storyboarding, probably never going to reach that point. But yeah, so for me, I am interested in production design, but for live action. I know that the major that I'm in, so at Art Center, I'm in an illustration major, but they have tracks inside of the major, so I'm in the entertainment arts track. Usually that's for people who are interested in being production designers or concept artists for like animated films, feature animation, or TV, but that's not really what I'm interested in. I am way more interested in live action stuff. There's not really a major for that, but you know, honestly,
I mean, it's the same thing.
As long as you have good drawing skills and you have a good understanding of like story and color and lighting and all that kind of stuff, you can pretty much go anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes down to concept art, there's barely any difference between stuff for live action and stuff for animated film and stuff. Because, like, other than the stylization...
like, in terms of... Yeah, it's mostly the stylization
It's the stylization, but that's just a minor thing.
Yeah. So...
I sent you a link to the Future of Character Design, by the way. Hope you enjoy it. That's... And here I thought, for a second, you were like, because your voice was really serious, and I was like, oh, I'm sure that's like a link to some really interesting like article. Absolutely, Sam.
I'm not sure why I expected that. I was like, oh wow,
this Simone is me you're talking to.
Has a really serious voice on. It must be an interesting link.
I just sent you a link to Sausage Guy Fieri morphing, that's and true. Then this. You really can't expect much more from me.
Never. I will never, ever learn. Alright. Okay, so I guess it's time for one cool thing. So we're going to steal an idea from Scriptnotes, the Scriptnotes podcast. And
well, you're stealing an idea from Scriptnotes. I've only listened to half of one podcast by them.
It's true.
But yes, go on.
So for my one cool thing this week, we were talking about this. We kind of briefly mentioned it, but Silicon Valley Comic-Con is happening right now in San Francisco, I think.
It is happening in Silicon Valley, somewhere.
That is a good assumption, seeing as it's called Silicon Valley Comic-Con. Oh, no, it's in San Jose.
It's in San Jose? Yeah, I thought so.
I feel even more betrayed now, like, that I'm not there at the same time.
Yeah, because it's real close, so.
Super close. I just feel betrayed and really sad. Anyways,
if it makes you feel better, if it makes you feel better, like 80% of the big names are at South by Southwest right now, which is also happening, and
that is true. That is wow. That's just such terrible timing. Why don't they hold Silicon Valley Comic-Con at the same time as South by Southwest?
Yeah,
that's some poor planning there. Anyways, I am going to send you a picture of something cool.
Thank you.
Look at this.
After all the cool things I've sent to you?
Yes, including Sausage Guy Fieri.
Oh, is that Hellboy?
Stunning. Do you know who that is?
That's Hellboy.
Yes, it is Hellboy. But do you know who is under the Hellboy costume?
How would I know? I just know that they're white.
That is Adam Savage.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
He always finds some sort of way to hide his face.
He is just the coolest. Okay, so Adam Savage every year for San Diego Comic-Con does Adam Incognito. So he creates a full body face covering costume, and he will go on Twitter and he'll tweet like hints about what he's cosplaying as. And so he'll go out onto the floor of Comic-Con, and the first person who like recognizes him, basically they like get a prize. So I don't know if he did Adam Incognito like with the prize at Silicon Valley Comic-Con. I think they did. But yeah, that's the costume that he wore. for Silicon Valley Comic-Con. And there's actually the sword he's holding. He posted a video on Tested about how he made that sword with the little sloth demon thing impaled on the end.
That's cool.
It's really cool. He's such a cool guy.
You've watched Hellboy, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I was just checking because I feel Hellboy's really weird because, like, it's the sort of thing where it's a really good movie, but it feels like more of a cult thing and not as many people know about it.
Yeah, you're right. It is kind of a cult movie. Also, there's the second movie, which is like, okay.
I've watched the second movie like 5 times. I don't remember a single thing about it.
It's the one with the golden machines that have big bellies.
What?
That's...
What are you talking about?
No, come on, look at it like one picture of those like golden robots from Hellboy 2. They all have pot bellies.
I have no idea. I've never watched, or I have watched it, but I have no recollection of anything in that movie.
It's all right. I mean, it's a pretty movie, but it's
Hellboy's really cool.
The really good thing about that movie, the best part of that movie was the scary angel.
Oh, I don't know. You're gonna have to regale me with all this stuff because I don't remember a single thing.
The one, it's the one with like 1 million eyes on its wings.
Oh, that's awesome!
Like, scary face,
like an old style angel. I love those. Mm-hmm. Those are super cool.
He's the one who tells. Spoiler alert for Hellboy 2. If you guys are like concerned about this, and this movie is like 10 years old, but Hellboy is dying. Remember, because he gets stabbed by Prince Nuada, and they take him to the angel, and the angel's like,
oh god, well, I just looked it up. It's so cool.
Yeah, he says, I can save him, but you have to know that eventually he's going to destroy the world. Do you still want me to save his life? That was the coolest part of the movie, honestly.
Yeah, I'm just looking.
Pretty good movie, but
the design in this thing is so awesome. It kind of reminds me of the thing in Pan's Labyrinth because it has no eyes.
Oh, Pan's Labyrinth. Ugh.
Does that movie still freak you out?
Well, I mean, it was just the Pale Man.
Yeah.
I watched okay, first of all, I watched that movie when I was way too young. You should not watch that movie when you're like 10 years old. But as soon as the Pale Man came on, I completely flipped out and I had to leave the room.
Oh my god.
I had nightmares about that. I had nightmares about that for months afterwards. I cannot.
It's like me
with I have to go back and rewatch it sometime because it's a really beautiful movie.
It's like me with the kids in that Pink Floyd movie, The Wall, with the distorted bowling ball faces. Yeah. I watched that movie when I was like 5 or whatever, and it freaked me out so bad. I had to watch Piglet's Big Adventure to calm down. That movie specifically was my like happy place movie right after I got freaked the heck out.
I'm so glad for you that you have that to fall back on as your security blanket.
Yeah.
But anyways, Adam Savage, why one cool thing? He was actually he has a podcast. It's called Still Untitled because they didn't have a title when they started it, and so they just called it Still Untitled, and it's still called Still Untitled.
I think it's better that way.
Podcast, that podcast was also one of the reasons that I wanted to work in film. Yeah.
Really?
Because they talk about in the podcast they talk a lot about like film props because Adam Savage used to be a prop guy. He used to work in special effects. He worked at ILM for like 5 years or something before he started doing Mythbusters. And so he talks all the time about props in movies, and it was like that podcast that got me really interested in like the kind of production side of film. So yeah,
that's really neat.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy.
What inspired me to go into all this was just like my entire childhood. You know, like I played so many video games. I watched so much cartoons on TV. I loved Cartoon Network so much as a little kid. I loved Pokemon a lot. Just all this stuff has snowballed together into one big thing. And I'm constantly being inspired by new things. So it's not just like one steady thing that I'm like I don't have definitive moments like that. Like for some reason you seem to have a lot of definitive moments. For me it's just kind of a general like, yeah.
Yeah, for some reason my life is like a movie script when it comes to these kinds of things.
There's all these plot twists and turning points.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to mention before we wrap it up?
Not really.
All right. So if you enjoyed this, you can subscribe. I'm gonna work on getting this up on iTunes. Hopefully, we'll see how that goes. And if you want to see our work, you can follow us. Simone, where can people find you and your art?
I have a Tumblr for my art, and it's called Gitchy Glitchy. That is GITCHYGLITCHY.
Yeah, and we'll put links in the show notes as well. I am on Tumblr. You can find me at Klexos, that's KLEXOS.tumblr.com, and you can follow us on Twitter, even though I don't post anything on Twitter ever.
I post too much on Twitter. It's either all or nothing, if you choose one of us.
And we'll put links to that in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.